I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Are you ready? I want to make sure that we're on here. Because it's time.
Well, if at some, what am I hearing?
You're hearing me.
I'll
Back
do
feet.
it.
I'll do
Sorry,
it.
hang
I'll
on.
do it. There we go.
But it's old.
No, it's not. It's not old. Ready?
Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there. How you doing? Whoops. Where am I? Not hearing me. Oh, God. Okay. You know, I want to go back to a more bucolic time when we were not slaves to this fucking technology. Excuse me and good morning. How you doing? We're going to try to do something, this is death-defying, I feel like. We're going to try to see if my sister Susan, who is on the line, can actually be heard. Hold your breaths or don't. Here we go. Susan! Yeah, the most beautiful sound I ever heard.
Maria.
Yes. Oh, I've missed that gravelly voice. Suze, wait. Now I've disappeared again.
Hi.
Hello.
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 Oh, fuck!
What did you do?
Excuse me. I guess I'm just
What
one.
did you do?
Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Am I on?
Yes, I believe.
Oh, jeez.
Well, why did you say hello like you couldn't hear me? That's what I misunderstood.
Yes, you did.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I am just such a wreck about this shit. I can't take it. I'm unraveling. I admit it. So, Suze. Okay, let me calm down for a second.
Take deep breath.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking on the way here that if it's true that, like, just sort of hostility can shorten your life, I'm as good as dead.
Yeah, well, yes, you do. You have to
I'm
take
dead.
all this negativity out. I mean, if there's one difference between our mother and her children, it's that she only sees Rosie.
Well, she's fucking blind.
Well, she got knocked off that for a while, but she's righted herself a little.
Wow. No, really. I have been a bundle of hostility from my home to here, and it's got to stop. You can feel it killing you. You can feel it killing you. So, I got to somehow chill. I don't know how, though.
Yeah, well, you're releasing all of these hormones and chemicals that your body makes, but aren't that good for you, so stop.
What? It's my nature. How are you...
Go outside and look at the trees.
Yeah, I will, but...
And,
yeah.
and the tulips coming up, and try and forget that it's not a sign of global warming that it's happened 3 weeks too early.
Shit. I'm sorry, and I forgive my foul mouth. I mean, for the people who find my mouth disgusting, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. It's good to hear you, Suze.
Yeah, nice to be heard.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to say...
Not that I have anything to add. I just felt silenced.
Yeah, well, I know the feeling, and so do the people who tried to call the show in the last week. So, oh, God. That leads me to a piece in today's New York Times that so spoke to me. And I think it's why I was thinking to myself, you're killing yourself, you're killing yourself. And this is a piece by David Lionheart. Lionheart, I'm sure was the original name, but somehow became Leonhardt. And it's about how technology is killing us, essentially. And he has started a new regimen where 1 hour a week. Now, that's not asking much, right? 1 hour a week. He turns off. He turns off.
That's it? 1 hour?
And he's finding it a struggle.
Well, excuse me. Does that not count like when you go to the gym for an hour and work out, and you don't even notice that you aren't talking to somebody aggravating on the phone?
Well, that could be too. That could be too. But what he says. See, here's the thing. And it's nothing new. He starts the piece by saying that the former Secretary of State George Shultz, who won my admiration when it was found out that he had a tattoo on his butt. He didn't look like the type. I mean, this was before tattoos were big.
What is it? What is it?
I have no idea, but there was one. This was George Shultz. He was Secretary of State under Reagan, right? Yeah, under Reagan.
Yeah, right.
So we're going back a bit. But he, when he was Secretary of State, would tell his staff that 1 hour each week, this is all he did, 1 hour each week, he closed the door of his office. And this is before all the blah, blah, the internet crapola. He told his secretary, I am not to be disturbed unless it's my wife or the president. That's neat that he put his wife first, actually. He's now 96 years old, and he said that 1 hour a week was the only way he could find time to think about the strategic aspects of his job. Otherwise, he said, he was simply being constantly pulled into moment-to-moment tactical issues and never able to focus on the big picture, larger questions. And ain't that the truth? And I think that's what's happening to all of us. That we take up so much of our time trying to keep up with this constant flow of information, and it's insane. It's insane. I was reminded of
It is. I don't find sitting in a room with everything turned off the answer. To me, the answer is to, as I said, go to the gym or do yoga or meditate. I mean, I need to substitute something that allows that process to happen in my brain.
Your brain,
Does
yes.
that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, the brain and the column has this science in it, which is brains can be either in what's called a task positive mode or a task negative mode. The brain cannot do both at the same time. And a lot of people ain't doing task negative anymore. Task positive allows you to be in the moment. Task negative is essentially daydreaming.
Right, but let's rewind back to this Reagan period, and I'm going to go back to those would be my parenting years, and I have to say that even though there was not the same technology, that was still about 5 or 6 years before the onset. What was happening anyway was that parents were overscheduling their children. Do you remember this? The kids were doing 5 or 6 or 7 different extracurriculars, and I can remember saying at the time, we stop this with the children. They need time just to sit down and process. They can't learn without having time to file away the stuff that we're shoving in their heads. And that takes just lying around, daydreaming, playing, doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So even before we had the computer and the iPhone and all that sort of stuff, we were already getting rid of that really essential time. I don't think this is anything new. I think we've just found different things to plug in that time that we used to plug in other, also inappropriate ways.
Yeah, I remember when I saw how my son was doing, like he could only do his homework with the television on. I said, turn that off. How can you even think about what you... He couldn't think without the noise, apparently.
Right.
I don't know.
He needed something to concentrate against. And I sort of get that.
I know you do, because I think I was appalled by you doing the same thing back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. And this shows the difference in our age. We got almost 4 years in between us. And you grew up with television. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as into it. I don't know. But here's the thing, and I've been squawking
well,
about...
It's interesting, though, because I, as regards television, I basically only use it as background noise. It's on, but I rarely watch it.
It's keeping you company.
It keeps me company, gives me something to concentrate against.
I remember once walking, where we were, with a guy who had been the head of the Federal Communications Commission. His name was Nicholas Johnson. And we were walking in a neighborhood, I think in Madison. And it was at night, and he said, look at that bluish light that's emanating from all the houses. And it was the televisions. And and he said, I despair. This is a guy who headed the FCC. This was 1970-something. 70-something. And he sort of saw where things were going and was already in despair back then.
It's interesting because TV was sort of a calming thing. And computers are and the way we're using media now is an agitating thing.
Yes, it is. The nervousness, the anxiety you feel if you haven't checked your whatever, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. If you're slightly out of whack, your email, how you have to just get right back in. How the first thing you do when you wake up is check it. How the last thing you do when you go to bed is, why are my levels going in and out?
I'm trying to get the screech out of the background.
Well, okay. So, here's the line from this piece, though, that this is it. He says, so he decided to try to disconnect totally as much as he could, just once a week. And he said, and this is true for all of us, I think, excuse me, I have confused the availability of new information with the importance of it. Right? That's why we keep checking. Something is new there. It doesn't mean it's important. The odds are it ain't. The odds are you can check it next week. It's okay. We've forgotten how to be out of touch. And it's not helping us. It's killing us, I think. If you spend all your time constantly collecting the information that keeps coming at us, you never have time to process it, to make any sense of it. You might be up to date on the latest. Did you hear that, what Trump just tweeted? Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I remember when I worked at Channel 4 here, and when the newscast was on at 6, the powers that be, the news director, the producer, they would watch their news alongside the other stations' news, their competitors. And they would like go nuts if another station had something on first. Or, hey, we beat them on that. Look we got it. And I'm thinking, are you guys out of your friggin' minds?
Right, because first of all, no one's watching all three newscasts, so nobody knows who got it first or cares.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I can remember there was a station that used to lead with, "You heard this here first," and
That's
I would
right.
go, what do I care?
Right. And you know what? That's
Why do I care?
That is exactly what stations still do. You heard it here first, or you heard it only here, which is generally bullshit, and more bullshit. But it shows how the speed, the we beat you, the competitiveness, and what goes by the wayside is thoughtfulness. Any
sense of thoughtfulness or nuance or importance. It's like this morning watching the Today Show. I hear Matt Lauer say, and now in an exclusive interview with us. Well, I don't know. Exclusive means that this person is only going to talk to them, period, right?
That's right.
Okay, this is Elizabeth Warren. She talks to everybody.
But maybe not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It makes no
What's
sense.
Exclusive?
It's bullshit.
She's only talking to them at 8 o'clock in the morning on the Today Show.
Right. It's just hype and absurdity. Total hype.
It's just nonsense. And they just count on the fact that you're getting the emotion of the language without focusing on the words. They're exactly like somebody I know that sits in the Oval Office.
Exactly.
Well, we didn't really mean exclusive in an exclusive way.
Okay, we're. Oh, by the way, Milt, thank you. Milton has sent me this. That this is a piece from the Washington Post of God knows when. It'd be 1987. Here it is. 1987, Washington Post. The State Department was besieged with phone calls yesterday in the wake of startling revelations about George Shultz's posterior. That its left flank carries a tattoo of the Princeton Tiger. So there it is.
Oh, well.
Schultz had that
Princeton
makes.
Tiger.
Aw, those were the days. Hey, we're going to try something again, death-defying. Without a net, we're operating. Clarence has called in. Let us see. Susan, you might get knocked off. We might never hear from you.
If I fall off, I don't guarantee I'm calling back. Okay.
I don't blame you. Okay, let's see. Clarence?
Am I on?
Yes.
Hey!
Yay! Oh, my God!
The three of us are talking together.
Happy days
Are here again. All right, Clarence tried to call yesterday and we couldn't get him on, so this is great.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Fine. Kind of.
Okay. Enough with the pleasantries. Let's get down to business.
Okay.
No, you were talking about that whole focusing thing, and when you started talking about Sam not being able to, do things without the TV on.
And the TV and and actually other things as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made me think of two things. When I was a little tiny kid, big family, small place. There was basically nowhere you could be where you had silence. I probably was like 7, 8. I discovered that if I crawled under my older sister's bed, which had a bookcase for the headboard, I could crawl under and sit up in the bookcase. It was like my own little hiding place. I had like my Hot Wheels under there, my little army men, and it was my own little private space, and that's where I got away from everybody. I just recently told my sister that I did that.
Aww.
And now, when Susan said something about turning off half your brain, the reason why I listen to like lectures, because I have the internet. When I'm drawing, I have to somehow turn off my crazy imagination. I guess you would call it almost ADHD, or I won't be able to focus on what I'm drawing.
Right. It helps you focus.
It helps me focus. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if I'm writing, I can't have any noise at all.
No, I can't imagine any noise at all.
I have to be in like dead silence or I'll misspell words, or I'll go off on a
I can't even,
thinking about whatever I'm hearing.
People who like read with music on or anything, try to do anything with. I mean, my brain has to like either listen to the music or write or read or do whatever I'm doing.
That's why I listen to like lectures, like people talking.
Yeah.
I've been listening to you for it's almost 3 decades now. That even when I used to have a real job, you were on, but I couldn't listen to music. Music would distract me while I'm trying to be creative. But intellectual type talk, which it somehow I don't know if it makes me more creative, but I can go for hours and hours sitting there drawing as long as somebody's there. Talking about, I don't know, nuclear physics or some other craziness. Yeah. So,
well, I was thinking maybe because people's voices just turn into like the way the adults sound on Peanuts specials. Right.
I actually can, but it happens. I'm starting to stutter. I'm getting excited. That's like, let me calm down here. When I was in grade school, like 3rd grade, teacher, Miss Polanski, realized that if I could doodle, she let me doodle in my tablet, that I could focus on what she was saying and not, try to be funny, like make a joke or, do something silly. And that kind of followed me all the way through school. I was allowed to doodle, and I'd be able to focus,
Well, that's good that the teacher realized that. I mean, because
yeah.
You can see where, no doodling while, when in fact that might be a way that you focus.
Yeah. I focus by... because I don't believe there's 2 different sides of the brain, but you know how I make puns. So my brain has always been like that. So I'll hear you, and I'll flip it or, make a joke out of it or something like that while you're talking. Mm-hmm. But if I'm doodling, that's taken care of. You know what I mean? I won't blurt out a bad pun. So I never really took notes in school, but I can retain everything that was said.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
As long as I could doodle. So.
Well, it's good hearing your voice. It's good hearing any voice, if you want to know the truth.
I actually had for what you were talking about, I had just listened yesterday, and I'll just email you it's a long, boring talk, the interview, but it was about what technology is doing to us. It was something about, what was it about? I think you were talking about Facebook trying to do something and stop all this.
Oh, yeah, I was saying, Facebook provided this platform for people to show themselves at their visceral, I think was Zuckerberg's word, visceral, raw way. Well, we see what that can get you.
Yeah, it was Facebook Live. That's what it was.
Yeah, Facebook Live.
And then you said, well, I don't know what the purpose of this thing is. And this talk I had, it was an interview, was just talking about what everything is for on the internet is to get you to click. It's all about, getting advertising dollars.
Of course.
It's about.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. How silly of me to even ask. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Good to hear from you. Bye. Bye. Oh.
Isn't that amazing?
The whole damn thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
We actually have another caller, Susan.
But yeah, I know you do. I can tell now when we have a caller. Go.
You can? How can you tell?
I hear a little beep.
Oh, cool. Well, it's Joe. So, hi, Joe.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, do you notice you don't hear about the Trump investigations between Russia, the ties of the campaign? One thing I could say about Trump, he has the art of misdirection. Let's shoot a few bombs here, blow one. Let's make a crisis in North Korea, and let's focus on war now. So nothing brings American people together because they love to kill and blow up things. So hey, that's what we're going to go. We're going towards war.
I'm not going to disagree with the thing you said. Here's the thing though. Whether we're aware of the investigation or not, it's going on. The FBI is continuing. The House and Senate are continuing. It's the media that get distracted by beautiful bombs.
Could you believe that? Oh.
Who said that?
That was Brian Williams.
Brian Williams. Yep.
What the? That's it.
All of a sudden, he's presidential. He's presidential because he shot a few bombs off. You
Well,
know
and
what?
don't you think he knows that? I mean, that's why I'm really worried.
Yeah.
I'm glad that everybody wasn't as happy about him dropping that, 3 skyscraper tall thing. No one seemed all that excited about that.
The
So
mother.
maybe he won't drop a nuclear.
No,
bomb,
but he
like
got
said.
positive feedback bigly when he dropped the bombs. Did he not? He got called
first one, yes.
presidential. He got all that stuff. No, it's like this is a guy, don't mess with him. And now we got
consider
this.
that a failed president when they drop bombs. You failed in diplomacy, so you resorted to bombs. Bombs should be the last resort of all of it. If you don't talk it out, then you're failed. So he's
Well, that's
already
true.
a failed president.
Well,
Yes.
it's always an indication of failure. Right. Yeah.
So and another thing, all of a sudden North Korea is such a crisis. It wasn't that much of a crisis when a bomb was in there, but 90 days later, all of a sudden it's a crisis, and it's something we got to do now. Well, you know what's so funny? Israel has a shield to protect them. If North Korea was so important, why don't they have a shield between South and North? Because it wasn't that big of a deal then. But now that Trump's in there, it's a big deal.
Well,
I'm not saying they're not.
I heard somebody say today that what's really changed, has the way the United States deals with North Korea changed here? And the guy said, not really. What's changed is Trump has ratcheted up the sense of urgency.
Right.
And that gets everybody,
Cowboy diplomacy.
yeah, well, gets everybody a little itchy.
Taunt, piss everybody off around, irritate them, get everybody mad at us, and we'll start another war. And the American people need to wise up. We can't let the military run the country. It's going to bankrupt. It's going to kill us. But they don't see that. They just see there's a threat, and I'm so scared they're going to protect me. They're so buffaloed about this. It's unbelievable. It's been going on for decades, and people still didn't wise up to it.
No, and they
put
never
another
will.
asshole in.
Well, it's
never.
human nature. That's the big problem. Always has been. Hey, thank you, Joe. Good to hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for
Bye.
hanging in there.
So, I was reading this interpretation of the new voter study that is out. You know, how they analyze the results of of the election, and the conclusion that the big question was, what motivated Trump voters more? Was it fear, and therefore the liking the more authoritarian stance, or was it racism?
Yeah.
Guess what the answer is?
Racism.
Yep. By a large percentage. That it wasn't the liking the strong, ruler, as a matter of fact, that sort of turned people off. But what resonated was racism. Not even general cultural change, but racism.
Right. And even if racism sounds too harsh, a sense that the world that they knew when they understood it was disappearing. Right. A lot of people don't realize.
Well, they don't ask the question, are you a racist? They ask, do you believe that people should be able to overcome where they are born, or their initial circumstances? Do you believe, and it's all these things, and it's basically, do you think poor people deserve to be that way because they don't try hard enough? Do you think blah blah, that sort of stuff? And the answers to all of those things, which point towards racism, are always yes. And it's just, it's very interesting the way they did it, and the way the study. The way the guy interpreted the study and all the graphs, but it's right there in black and white, and it wasn't a reach.
I was thinking, Susan, about this Turkey election, Erdogan, where he essentially had a referendum where he said, "Can I be a dictator instead of president? Can we get rid of parliament?" And
lo and behold, the people said, "Oh yes, please."
Yeah,
We are
but
dictators.
well, we're not sure about that. However, it was tighter than everybody thought it would be. And you know what the breakdown is in Turkey? This fascinated me because it's the same breakdown as in the United States, as in the UK with Brexit. I suspect probably in France as well in their elections. It's urban versus rural.
Rural.
That's what it is in Turkey. All the major cities in Turkey voted against this. It's all
very cosmopolitan.
So,
Yeah.
so this is what, when we look at this changing geopolitical reality, I got a feeling that what we're seeing, yes, is mostly educated, cosmopolitan, whatever, urban, versus small town, rural, uneducated.
Right. Well, that was actually another interesting thing of this the interpretation of the election results, which is that wealthy urban dwellers frequently vote Republican.
Wealthy
and
urban.
they did not.
And they did not.
Wealthy.
Yeah.
They did not. They went Democrat.
Right. So, but I think the fact that I understand in our country, but the fact that that's true in Turkey, that was true in Brexit, that was true, it shows that the changes in this world, that people who are urban are more comfortable with them,
Right.
less freaked, for whatever reason. I don't know. And now that we're on all this sort of psychological stuff, fascinating little study in today's New York Times, and what gave rise to it, I guess, is that, God help us, Neil Gorsuch had his first day as a justice on the Supreme Court yesterday.
And he was the eager little obnoxious boy.
Eager little obnoxious beaver. Most people in the history of the court who have ever had their first day on the court sort of sit quietly, take it in. You know, you're the nobody. You're nothing. You're getting the coffee for everybody else. He spoke apparently asked more questions than any other justice.
22, more by far. And even he knew that he was doing this and tried to stop himself. He said, okay, last question. I know
he even said, I apologize. I
I
apologize.
apologize. And then he kept talking, and it was not the last question.
Right. Right. Oh, boy.
He did the whole thing with a big grin on his face. I mean, part of it was, listen, I don't want to be that nasty. The guy was having so much damn fun.
He was loving that he got where he wanted to be. He was showing his smarts. He was in seventh effing heaven.
Right.
Okay.
Right. He couldn't help but be the
show off.
guy in the room.
Show off.
Right.
Okay. So, here's the thing. There was a study done by I guess it's a study that's going to be published in the Virginia Law Review. And somebody actually listened to all of the oral arguments in the Supreme Court in the last, I forget how many years. It's amazing that they did this. Just to see how often justices interrupted each other or interrupted the attorneys. So who was interrupting? And this will not surprise anyone. Who is interrupting? Men.
Really?
Who are they interrupting? Women. Who's interrupting? Conservatives. Who are they interrupting? Liberals. Conservatives interrupt liberals at significantly higher rates than liberals interrupt conservatives. And male justices interrupt female justices far more often than the other way around. And ask a psychologist, interruptions are considered an aspect of dominance, right? And the conservatives know they're dominant on the court. They feel dominant. Here is another takeaway. If female justices, and they are, the 3 female justices, if they are consistently interrupted more than their male counterparts, it would sort of show, wouldn't it, that gender dynamics are so powerful that they persist even when women achieve the highest levels of power. Right?
Right.
Or is it just that women... They also say that the female justices don't speak when they speak, they're shorter. They don't hold the floor like men do. Also,
that might be different if either you or I were on the court.
Well, that's true, but we ain't. So here's the other thing.
Right.
The conservative and males being the ones. Here's the wrinkle in this is on the court, the conservatives are the males and the liberals are the females in large part, right? So they go back to when it was Sandra Day O'Connor was the female on the court. Mm-hmm. And she was a Republican, moderate-ish. No, they interrupted her left and right more than she interrupted.
Of course.
And here's something else. When you go to argue before the court, there is a guide that is given to lawyers by the Supreme Court that tells them how they are to comport themselves. And there is a stern warning that says this, quote, "Never interrupt a justice who is addressing you. If you are speaking and a justice interrupts you, cease talking immediately and listen." Guess what?
That doesn't work with women.
Male lawyers arguing before the court are now interrupting female justices.
That's disgusting.
And here it says, female lawyers, by the way, never interrupt anyone. What does all this mean? God help us. So they also say that, I hear the dog. Is he asking to go out?
The dog is just generally upset.
Okay, well...
And the cat is upsetting him further. But go ahead.
What these social psychologists say is they don't think that men even know that they do this.
Oh, I'm sure they don't. They've been used to not paying attention to women forever. It's like me in the television set.
I know, right. So, unhappily, it says here in this study, interruptions are generally considered an aspect of dominance. And that's the fact that Gorsuch now enters the court, giving the conservatives and the men true power. That's going to reinforce the tendency. So Kagan and Sotomayor and Ginsburg can expect to be interrupted more than ever before. Men, conservative men, elbow their way in,
well,
interrupt.
Here's what I have to say to the women. You've got to stop allowing it.
Yeah.
I mean, all they have to say is, "Excuse me,
I'm talking."
I am speaking.
I think there was one instance in which Sotomayor said that, but I think she said it. Oh, that's it. She said it to one of these damn attorneys who was daring. It was an affirmative action case, the Texas case. And the guy arguing for the state of Texas kept interrupting Sotomayor. And finally, it took a lot of interruptions. She said, let me finish my point. But as much as men are used to dominance, women are used to men needing to dominate, so they just, let them. But, yeah, that's got to stop.
It's got to stop. Because it is perceived, whether consciously or unconsciously, as a sign of weakness and superiority on behalf of the one that overtakes the conversation.
Right.
So it's simply got to stop, and the women on the court have to be made aware of it, and encouraged to not allow it.
Well, I would think.
And by the way, the men on the Supreme Court should be warned about it and told to take note of it and to behave themselves.
Well, I would think that the fact that this piece was in the New York Times today, I would think the members of the court will be made aware of it. My gut tells me nothing will change.
Well, nothing changes quickly, but the more you say stop that, the less easy it becomes to ignore you.
I guess so.
Yeah, we got to start saying stop that. I mean, we usually get fed up enough to say stop that, and then we get what we want. But we've got to stop taking it for centuries before we say stop that.
I interrupt a lot. Our family, we interrupt.
I interrupt all the time.
Well, so we do. So how did we? I don't know. I guess in our family, we grew up.
It was growing up in our family.
It was a free for all.
That's the only way to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, I guess you had to interrupt, and we girls learned how to do it too. We also get very excited about what we're talking about, That's
so
true.
we just start talking.
I know. I though do it too much, and I sometimes, as I'm interrupting, I'm thinking, will you back off? But I can't. It's it's just an immediate kind of. Oh. Anyway.
I'm the same way. I mean, when I used to be on, boards and in meetings, and everybody else is very polite or raising their hands, and I'm just talking.
It's not good. I know.
No, it's not good.
Not good.
But here's what happens. People think you're a leader.
Or they think you're obnoxious.
Well.
Or they think you're an obnoxious leader. I don't know. So, front page of the Times today.
Wait a minute. I'm going to interrupt you with one more thought.
Uh-huh.
Part of the problem with what you just said, that they'll think you're obnoxious, is what women are way too concerned about. Who gives a shit?
That's right. That's right. Men don't care. And
Men don't care.
Well, but women are judged more harshly. We know that. Ask Barack Obama. Well, if you're not a white male, ask Barack Obama. Every time anything that this Trump administration does, and I think, oh my God, if that were Barack Obama, all fucking hell would have broken loose. And he knew a black guy doesn't get any of the leeway that a white guy does. And that's why he was overly scrupulous. And they still kept coming at him.
Even white guys didn't used to get what this guy's getting.
What guy's getting?
Trump. I mean, how can there just be, a report today that he has spent 1 out of 5 days at Mar-a-Lago.
It doesn't see
of his time.
I know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But do you remember how we were seeing numbers about how much Obama's first vacation cost?
The outrage.
I mean, there were numbers out there, total outrage.
Susan, I remember a certain cousin of ours saying, did you see how much that trip they took to Europe cost with their daughters and blah, 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 and they took like an entourage with them? And we all know now, the numbers are already in, that Donald Trump and his lovely family have already cost the taxpayers more on travel. alone. That's all. Just travel. Than the Obamas did in 8 years. They're not even 100 days into the presidency, and they've already surpassed what Obama and his family did in 8 years. And the silence is deafening. I was looking at the report on the Easter egg roll, and it said this. As a military band played the national anthem, Melania and her son Barron placed their hands over their hearts. And Mrs. Trump jabbed the president.
Elbowed him.
To remind him to put your damn hand over your heart. Remember when Barack Obama didn't? There was something where he didn't put his hand on his heart. All hell broke loose. He didn't have a flag pin on. All hell broke loose.
Yeah, but, the difference is that Trump really believes that he's king. And that when you put your hand over the heart, it's about him, not about the country. So why would he put his hand over his heart?
Yeah, but he has to understand. He still has to play the role. He looks so uncomfortable in the videos of this thing. You remember how Obama used to just really enjoy playing with kids?
Right.
This guy, not so much. Here's what he said. He appeared on the balcony with a bunny, a 6-foot-tall rabbit, which was not Sean Spicer this time. And he said this to the kids from his balcony. He looked down upon the masses, and he said, "We will be stronger and bigger and better as a nation than ever before. We're right on track. You see what's happening? We're right on track." It's the fucking Easter egg roll. There are 4-year-olds with spoons in their hands running around them. And we will be stronger.
Somebody forgot to tell him what to say. If he doesn't, we can't continue to be. I mean, we can't get used to it in that sense, but we can't continue to be surprised by the fact that he doesn't know what the hell's going on most of the time.
No, he doesn't.
And he never knows what's appropriate.
Do you know, one of the funnier things, and I never mentioned it, was that time they brought him in for a photo op, yet another executive order signing, and he comes in and he says all this kind of bullshit that they told him to say, and then he gets up and walks out of the room with Pence running after him, and he stops him as Trump's going through the door, and he says, Mr. President, you didn't sign you came in here to sign the executive order. And Trump waves him off and walks out of the room, leaving these people who had been brought in as, interested parties to whatever this executive order was.
Right, get a pen.
Right, looking dumbfounded, like, what just happened there? And, in Easter egg roll things past, there'd be all these A-list celebrities, and the kids could play with, Elmo and Big Bird, and the Trump White House did ask.
And there were twice as many kids.
Yeah, the Trump White House did ask for some Sesame Street and characters to come, and I believe were turned down.
Well, here's what happened. They wouldn't have been turned down if they were organized and had asked in enough time to actually accommodate them.
Well, what is the gall? Where is the gall of asking Big Bird to show up at your party when you are planning on kicking Big Bird out? His budget
Big Bird,
takes
I think, is
all.
on HBO now.
That's on HBO. Sesame Street is.
Yeah, I think they are out of PBS at this point.
So you know who the kids got to mingle with? And it says right here, they got to take selfies on the lawn with Jeff Sessions.
Oh, You're kidding.
No.
No, come on, you're kidding. That's just like a really bad joke, right?
Well, that's what I thought, but no. May I read the entire? I'll read the entire.
Does
Well, wait a
anybody
minute.
Know, do
No,
they know who Jeff Sessions
well, they
is?
just they just been told from the balcony by the president, we are bigger and better than ever. We're dropping bombs. We're the best. Blah blah blah. And then they get here. I'll read you the paragraph. Sean Spicer and Kellyanne Conway posed for selfies on the lawn and read to children, as did Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, and Ben Carson. So they were all on the lawn taking selfies with kids who would say, who the hell? Who cares? Can you imagine more uncomfortable people like walking around in a situation like that? Oh!
No, but can I confess something? I've never really liked Easter egg rolls.
No, it's absurd. I don't even get it. First of all, those eggs aren't eggs. They're fake eggs, or there'd be yolk all over the place.
And they're crammed with candy or treats or
I don't get it.
something.
What does that have to do with the resurrection? I ask.
You don't know this?
No.
Easter is actually the name of a goddess, Ishtar.
Okay.
And she was the goddess of fertility, thus the bunnies and the eggs. And when they were trying to convince a lot of people that this religion wasn't a foreign religion, Ishtar became Easter.
Well, that's what
It was linked to the It was linked to the resurrection. That's the actual historical.
Well, if you're a PR person,
Easter.
Yeah, if you're doing PR for this new religion, and any religion would do this as it's starting out, you damn well better incorporate what the people already know and are comfortable with, right?
Right. This ain't foreign. This is more
No,
of what you know.
That's
Look,
right.
There's Ishtar.
Right, exactly. And then it becomes easier to pull them in. So on the front page of the...
Well, it's like... Okay, change the subject. Never mind.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, interrupt.
Jesus wasn't born at Christmas, but they needed some holiday in the winter to cheer people up, and so they switched the birthday, much like President's Day. It's not a new concept.
No, not. Definitely not.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. I won't interrupt.
I bet. So, both of us will interrupt. I mean, that's just the reality.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. So, front page, New York Times today, article about Trump voters. I'm so sick of these articles, I can't see straight.
About the Trump voters that are sorry they voted? I don't think there's that many of them.
No, I don't either. But this one is, it doesn't say they're disappointed. They're saying, in swing state, and it's Pennsylvania, which is what caught my eye. In swing state, Pennsylvania, Trump backers turn impatient. So they're getting a little like, so where's my job? Where's my why aren't I seeing
healthcare for everybody?
Yeah, why don't I see Muslims being thrown out? Where's that wall? All that stuff. But I was thinking this kind of reporting is such bullshit. You can go out and write any story. You interview, as somebody who worked in television news, if I was sent out to do a man on the street, we call them, now I believe they're called person on the street, interviews, you take from it what you want. So, yeah, you can find some Trump backers that are impatient, then you find a few that aren't, but you have to make a story out of it. And in fact, if you read the story, mostly they're hanging in there with them. They absolutely are.
Every time I hear one of these things and I listen in or read on, Mostly everybody I'm hearing is going, oh, no, listen, you got to give the guy a chance, and, nobody promises, nobody gets everything they promised, and,
Yeah. And he was, so they get the one woman who says, it's just like any politician. And I'm thinking it's that kind of stupidity and inability to make distinctions that made this idiot vote for him in the first place. Boy, I'm sick of stupid people. Anyway, there is this poll. Gallup poll. And it's pretty brutal for Trump. Because if you ask people the question, does Trump live up? Let me see the exact question. The exact question is, does Donald Trump, is he keeping his promises? Okay? They asked the same question at the beginning of February, and then they asked it again in this month. The change in every possible demographic is down, way down. So, in early February, all adults, so this is not breaking it down, everybody they interviewed, if you toted it up, 62% said yes, Donald Trump keeps his promises. That's down 17 points in just 2 months. It's now at 45%. I mean, 62 to 45 in about 6 weeks. Then you look, the biggest drop, not surprising, women. At the beginning, when they first asked, 65% of women said he keeps his promises. Can't believe
I know. Who are these women?
I don't know. But you ask, at least they're paying some attention.
Because 90% of women didn't vote for him. So who are these?
No, a lot of women did. White women voted for him.
Yeah, I know.
Is there a way to turn in our white card? It's like I don't even want to be affiliated. Women, 65%.
We're Jews. We're a whole other race.
Well, that can, being a Jew helps. You can say, I might be white, but I'm a Jew, which when push comes to shove, the Jews ain't white. Okay. So women, 65% in February, down to 40%. A 25-point decline. Even Republicans, in February, they were saying, does he keep his promises? 92% said, you betcha. And that dropped by 11. So all of them dropped. The two biggest demographic drops are women and people 18 to 34. People ain't falling for it. No matter what the bombast, no matter what the media do in terms of normalization.
Right, and even Karl Rove is telling him to cut it out about blaming Obama for everything.
You can't do it. You can't do it. After a while, it's a joke.
He said that just gets old, and it just makes him look weak. And he must stop tweeting about it. He should tweet about his successes and not about Obama. And I'm going, okay, go ahead, tweet about your success.
Yeah, let's hear the successes. The only success, and they got it through the most brutal combat and changing the rules of the game in midstream by refusing to allow Obama to have his moderate choice on the Supreme Court, which had never been done before, and then by going nuclear to get their guy.
Success, that was Congress.
Well, you're right, but that's being touted as his only success. And then bombing people.
He had nothing to do with it.
And then killing people, I believe he's been successful at.
See, but am I the only one that thinks, how much do you think that gazillion megatron just below a nuclear bomb thing cost?
Well, we know how much it cost. It cost the one object was $13 million that blew up.
That we dropped.
Right, but it cost $300 million to develop. It had been sitting around since 2002, I believe. So George W. Bush had it in his arsenal. Did not
Someone's
use
just
it.
been itching to drop that
Obama had it,
Yeah.
didn't use it.
Did you hear anything about how successful that mission was?
Well,
really?
the only people talking are the Afghanis who liked it. And they have said initially that 36 bad guys were killed, and now they've doubled that. And as for the tunnels, it's unclear, and it doesn't seem like, look, the fact that they ain't crowing about it more, you didn't hear anything. Because
That's right.
The point was just to show.
It doesn't matter. The point was to drop another bomb.
That's right.
Yeah.
The point was to say, look, this guy will drop this kind of crap on you, right? So that then when they start the saber rattling on North Korea, well, you're not sure. Maybe they will.
Well, all I can say is, considering his taste in government leadership, I think we should be glad that he didn't drop it on, I don't know, San Diego.
All right. I think we're done, Suze, and you got to get on the road. I got
to hit the road, Jack.
I can't tell you how nice it's been to talk to you for an hour. It's been an extreme pleasure. Thank you very much. I hope, God knows, maybe we could do it next week, too.
Maybe we can do it next week, too. That would be really cool.
Wouldn't that be something? We'll start a streak.
Yeah, two in a row.
We'll start a streak. Okay. Thank you. Drive carefully.
Bye.
Bye.
I
Bye.
will. Bye.
Okay. And talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.